Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a special joint meeting with the Brownsville Public Utilities Board on Tuesday, December 11, 2012, at 4 p.m. and at 4:30 p.m. with an executive session and a special meeting in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, discussion pursuant to Section 551.086 of the Texas Government Code regarding a proposal for power from specific generation project, including costs, pricing information, and evaluation assistance connected therewith.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion. It's now 4:12.
Motion to move to executive session. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll be in executive session.
Okay, I need to open. Okay,
Executive session will be on the fourth floor.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, can I have a motion by the PUD?
No, that's right. They have to have a motion.
It's 4:12. I'd like to call this open meeting to order. And I'll also entertain a motion to recess a closed meeting to consider matters pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071. So, first by Mr. Vasquez, second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Pursuant to the notice of a joint public meeting of the City of Commission of the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Public Utilities Board, we're now calling the special meeting set for 4:30 p.m. And before we go through the formality of the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, I think you have to adjourn.
I'd like to, yes, entertain a motion to reconvene to open meeting. So moved. Mr. Vasquez, second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn meeting. So moved. Second. Mr. Garcia, Mr. Vasquez, second. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.
And we're now going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You can join us if you'd like. Sure. Matter of fact, why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay.
If I can stand up.
Yeah.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Do we have an invocation? Is there any particular man of the flock? If not, why don't we just go ahead? I'll state it out that ask the good Lord to guide us in the decisions that we're about to make. Make sure that we are doing it with a introspection of trying to do the best thing we can for the city, and ask the good Lord to help us in everything that we do. In God's name we pray. Amen. Okay. Counselor, go ahead and read it.
Session. Action to proceed as advised by legal counsel.
Motion to proceed as advised by legal counsel. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now you're going to have to read the section.
To establish a gas utility system and appointing the Public Utilities Board with authority to control and manage same, including to enter agreements regarding same, to develop facilities and potential location for facilities, and to apply for and obtain permits and licenses associated therewith.
Mr. Bruzak, if you don't mind, go ahead and explain to the public what it is that we're doing.
Yes, Mayor, we should have a slide come up here in a second. We are requesting action, natural gas line development, authorize PUB to create a gas utility system in the city of Brownsville. appointment of the Public Utilities Board of the City of Brownsville to manage and control the gas utility system, including development, business plans, and budgets, entering into contracts on system behalf, initiating regulatory requirements for any applicable permits, license, or studies in connection with the construction, operation, and maintenance of a natural gas system, managing and controlling the right-of-way, acquisition process, pipeline construction, and otherwise manage and controlling the facilities following construction to the fullest extent permitted by law. Okay. We should have a slide, the same slide that you have right there.
Why don't you go ahead, even though the slides, we'll have them made as part of the minutes of the meeting. Why don't you go ahead and, for the purpose of the public, go ahead and outline what's in your slide number 1.
It's actually the one I just read to the
Okay.
commission and the mayor.
Okay. So that's
That's
going
the
to be
slide, right?
item number 1?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it is public hearing. Any other comments from the public?
Close. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Would approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2. Go ahead, Secretary.
Public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2012-1569 concerning chapter 102 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Utilities, and which provides for electric, water, and wastewater, sanitary sewer service rates and charges and conditions of services, amending chapter 102 to provide for upward adjustments of electrical, water, and wastewater services rates, fees, and charges, setting a public hearing thereon for December 11, 2012, and providing a severability clause and effective date.
Mayor, members of the commission, we do have a slide up here of what we're asking for tonight. We're asking to approve a multi-year rate plan for electric, water, and wastewater to support growth, ongoing operations and maintenance, and a proposed bond issue for a future power supply project. The rates are listed by electric, water, and wastewater, and the percentages associated with them on each year going forward for the next 5 years out to October 1st, 2016.
Okay, this is the public hearing on item number 2. Any comments with regards to the public?
Mr. Brusiak, I would just like you to, as briefly as you can, for the viewing audience, please give a brief explanation, just so that we can understand that it is for a 5-year period, it is for a specific purpose, and in the end, the outcome, the positive outcome that this community is going to have because it went into this kind of an investment.
Okay, the rates are broke up by ongoing O&M cost. If you look on the left for electric, water, and wastewater, and a percentage, those are the improvements we need for the growth of the system over the next 5 years, general projects that we would have throughout the city. The bond issuance percentages are for the electric generation facility that we're looking at to serve future needs for long-term into the future at low energy costs for the residents of Brownsville on that. That's the rate increases that are associated with them. On the water side, the increases are associated with ongoing growth issues mainly. As you can see, there's no bond issuance associated with the power supply facility. On the wastewater is the same way. There are actually ongoing growth. There are no rate increases associated with the power production facility.
And it is true that if the residents were to see an increase in water and wastewater, that would be a drastic amount to their bill, but versus where we are basically the cheapest electric provider in Brownsville, it only makes sense to add it to the electric side so that our customers won't suffer the burden.
Yes, and there are minimal impacts on the water and wastewater side. They're very small increases over time. That's something I think the commission had asked us to come forth with a plan of smaller increases over a long period of time instead of coming to you with large increases that could impact the customer in Brownsville here.
Thank you.
This is a very good plan. It sets us up going forward out to 2017 without coming to y'all for any more rate increases unless we have something major come to town but this would take care of all of our power supply and water and wastewater needs.
Thank you for sharing that with the public. Is of great interest. And I also wanted to, well, we still have public hearing, but I want a public comment to be known to the viewing public that the PUB has engaged terrific people as consultants to come to this conclusion, and it was the unanimous decision of the PUB board to recommend this to the City Commission. So it goes with a lot of study and a lot of great work that's been done by the PUB, and I thank all the board members that are here today, as well as their council, for being here with us today. Do I hear a motion? Any other public comments?
Close public hearing.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Move to,
Motion carries. Action item.
move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a special meeting on Tuesday, December 11, 2012 at 5 p.m., 5:45 p.m., and 6 p.m. with a workshop, an executive, and a special meeting in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Workshop 8, review and discussion of grants related to energy efficiency in city buildings.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We're here today to present to you the energy efficiency grant that was awarded back in 2009 from the Department of Energy. We have been monitoring the energy savings since the installation of each phase. What the majority of the information we have to you today is collected from the phase 1 of the traffic signal lights, as well as the City Plaza upgrades, lighting and HVAC upgrades. So John will provide all of this information to you. If there's any questions after, we'll be happy to entertain those.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. As Stephanie mentioned, I'm going to briefly present some findings that we've come across with the help of Brownsville Public Utilities Board staff. I've got Mr. Eddie Campirano Jr. here to assist if there are any additional questions. Basically, we're going to talk about Project Greenlight, the EECBG City Plaza, EECBG City Hall, talk about some conclusions, a recent grant application that was submitted to UT Austin regarding energy efficiency, and recent EECBG report news. Project Greenlight phases 1 and 2, which we discussed about a month ago, originally started with 20 intersections. It expanded to approximately about 140. We've got figures from phase 1. That work was completed in December of 2010, so we basically compared energy consumption and savings from between 2010 and 2011 and 2010 and 2012. As you can see, in 2 years, the city has basically saved 69% in consumption and approximately $15,000 in savings. On phase 2, we have some figures up there. I need to apologize. In our exuberance to present our findings, we miscalculated. And as far as phase 2, we actually have 34.64% in savings. Phase 3, we are still working with Brownsville PUB on getting those figures to you, and we'll present those hopefully next month. As far as EECBG City Plaza, that was work on the HVAC and lighting. We've got it broken down by months, and difference between 2010 and 2011, each month is broken down with an approximate savings, yearly savings of 23% from the first year and 40% this second year. Mind you, we don't have figures for the last couple of months for 2012. EECBG City Hall, we're currently working on lighting upgrades and HVAC system, and we're approximating about 40% reduction in energy expenses, and we get that amount from the figures from City Plaza. And we'll present those as they start coming in. Conclusions, as far as Project Greenlight, again, the traffic intersections, the city has saved approximately $125,000 from phase 1, 69% reduction. City Plaza, $63,176. And actually, about a year ago in January of 2012, our office had projected $18,000 in annual savings, which actually have been $37,000, not including December. We recently submitted a grant to UT Austin for energy efficiency. It would require the purchase of variable frequency drives, and those are a system which is attached to the HVAC fan and does a better job of controlling when the fans turn on and off. We requested $15,000 with a local match of $15,396. Projected annual savings is $3,000 a year, more or less, which would result in a 10-year payback. Stephanie recently spoke to a representative from the Department of Energy, and they are very happy with what the city of Brownsville has been doing with their energy grants. They were discussing the potential of national press regarding our savings and proposing additional funding upon, the availability. And of course, we can be contacted. That's our contact information, phone number, our fax, and our websites. Are there any questions at this time?
It's good work, guys. I think we're on the right track, and we need to kind of make sure that as we go along, try to figure out, that your public press needs to get out, and let the people know what you're doing at the city level.
Absolutely. The other day when I had a phone conversation in regards to reporting, the gentleman that John's referring to, I was on the phone with him for about a whole hour, and he said most cities they struggle to spend the money that's provided to them. They usually take longer to spend it. The majority of the time it's returned, and they've never seen a city that's made such an investment as the city of Brownsville has, and so they applaud us for that. In addition to that, they said, well, we'll get you national press and whatnot, and I said, well, that's fantastic, but how about some more money? He said, you're actually talking to the right person. So go ahead and generate a report to me. He's interested in seeing these results, as well as some of the things that we have coming down the line that we want to present to you here in the near future. So along with that, there's a lot of potential for more projects, more energy efficient projects that will affect our bottom line here with the city of Brownsville.
And is that with the Department of Energy?
Yes.
Okay. You probably need to circulate that somehow or another to the city manager's office and perhaps whoever commissioners are interested, because I think it could be of great interest to the bike and hike trails, and the energy has a great correlation, and those departments of energy and the Department of Education, you probably need to kind of correlate and collate. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I think you have the next one as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Review of community voice survey results and workshop calendar.
As you know, I've mentioned that we launched for the first time ever a community voice campaign, which goes from November to March, and it'll be an annual campaign. And I'm just going to go through what that means, what we expect to see from this campaign, and also explain some of the survey results we got from our first outreach event, which took place at the Segovia event. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, awards entitlement funding to the City of Brownsville each year to create and promote community development projects and programs. Of course, this is based on population. The goal is to ensure that funding is being invested in community needs and quality of life projects. That is our responsibility as the Department of Community Development, and we want to ensure that we're making the right investment in the community. The Community Voice campaign goal is to ensure that residents of Brownsville are able to continue to reside in, assist in defining, and actively participate in critical decision-making processes in the community as it evolves. We want to be able to get their input on what the needs are in the community and how we can help, as opposed to us putting something in that they may say, well, I never really wanted that, I have other priorities. It's launched in November, goes through March. The annual campaign consists of various community workshops and needs assessment surveys conducted throughout Brownsville neighborhoods, schools, and public community centers. 2 of those workshops took place last week on Wednesday and Thursday in Districts 1 and 2. The project aims to unite Brownsville residents by tackling some of the most pressing issues affecting the community, such as housing, workforce development, job creation, and anything that is essential of a vibrant and thriving community. Our first survey event took place at the Segovia, Brownsville, 2012, on November 4th. We spread out throughout the different reclovias. We had tables set up, and we had 2 different surveys, both an adult survey, very brief, and a children's survey. We ended up serving, our goal was 50, and we got 75. This was the adult survey. It's very to the point. We had some open-ended questions. We wanted to know the age, and we wanted to know the address so that we could map that on a City of Brownsville map with a shaded overlay of CDBG eligible area. And these, basically, we asked for them to list the 3 major issues of concern in their neighborhood or throughout the community. And we asked them, if you had your way, what is the one thing you would like to see in Brownsville in 2014? We took the results, and some of them repeated the same information, and some of them were a little different. So we broke it down into 5 categories: beautification, infrastructure improvement, economic development and recreational activities, and other. Other were soup kitchens, speed bumps, things like that. Some of the responses we got were hike and bike trails, bike lanes, road construction, parks, graffiti, downtown revitalization, security, soccer restoration, recycling programs, poverty, and more sporting events. There were many others. The 3 major issues of concern, as you can see, the majority of the people surveyed say that infrastructure improvements are their #1 priority. What they'd like to see next year, recreational activity seems to be the #1 priority. Now here we took the survey results and we mapped them. Everything in yellow is CDBG eligible area. As you can see, a lot of the results came from people in the downtown area. Several results came from the north side of Brownsville, which doesn't fall under CDBG, but of course, any information that we obtain from the survey is valuable and will be shared with other departments. Coming to your neighborhood next, we've already conducted 2 workshops last week. The next one will be tomorrow at the Brownsville Event Center in District 3, and on Thursday at the Westside Community Network Center, District 4. If you have any questions in regards to these survey results, or if there's anyone in the community that would like to voice their concern and didn't get a chance to at this first event, or is unable to attend the workshops, we will continue to have these up until March, but your feedback is highly encouraged, so please contact us via website or by phone. Check out our Facebook. We've got a community voice page. Come and like us. And just check out our website of all the neat pictures and testimonials that we're already posting up there. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Workshop C, discussion regarding boarding home facilities in the city of Brownsville.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, I guess.
It may be off to a slow start, but
I
it's
stand
already
corrected.
afternoon.
It's been a long day. Some time ago, one of the commissioners, actually it was Commissioner Tetro, brought a situation to my attention in regard to certain elderly people that were staying at homes that were unlicensed. And looking into it, it turned out that city staff had investigated the situation. And it appeared that some of these people were living in conditions which could be described as nothing less than deplorable. I began to investigate this, and it appeared that a lot of these homes were not regulated by the state of Texas and kind of fell into this little area where there was very little, if any, regulation. And we were trying to figure out how to address this. Could I get the next slide? What we found was in 2009, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 216. And what they did is they authorized the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to develop statewide standards for boarding homes. First, in talking about this, I think it's important to understand what is not a boarding home. A boarding home is not transitional housing. It's not a halfway house, a sobering house. It's not an adult daycare, an assisted living facility, or a rehab facility, or an independent living facility. All these things, there's state regulations on, all right? Can I get the next slide? The way the state defines the term boarding home is an establishment that furnishes in one or more buildings lodging to 3 or more persons with disabilities or elderly persons who are unrelated to the owner of the establishment by blood or marriage, and provides community meals, light housework, meal preparation, transportation, grocery shopping, money management, laundry services or assistance with self-administration of medication, but does not provide personal care services to the person. That's how the legislature defines boarding homes. Boarding homes in Brownsville, we've taken a very informal survey. They're found in residential areas, not commercial areas. They're often private residences, which can house anywhere from, say, 3 to 10 people. They're not regulated. There's no oversight. There's no inspections. We've seen evidence of some code violations. There's no staffing requirements in terms of education. There's no criminal background checks required for the people that work there. The owners are often not present at the location, and these locations frequently move when they have elderly people there. If there seems to be a little bit of a tension as to what this elderly person is doing there, and why maybe Social Security checks are being signed over to the owners of the place, they move and go to a different location to escape enforcement. They're totally not regulated by the state. Next slide. I had talked to you earlier about in 2009 the Texas legislature passing House Bill 216. Basically, what they wanted to do is how do we provide the state issues license for certain things. I'm sorry, my eyesight is just not very good here. Can I get the next slide? All right, I think it's best to talk about the House Bill 216. House Bill 216 passes a number of standards which an ordinance that the city of Brownsville would enact would involve, all right? Because basically what the House bill does, it authorizes the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to develop statewide standards for boarding homes. And then it states, okay, it's up to the local governments whether to enforce these standards through enactment of an ordinance or not, all right? The standards, there's 6 standards. They involve everything from construction and remodeling to sanitation, to reporting investigations of injuries, assistance with medication, training, and assessment and monitoring. There's 2 cities in the state that I'm aware that have enacted fairly comprehensive ordinances which regulate boarding homes. One is the city of Dallas, and the other one is El Paso. And basically, what we're doing is we're drafting an ordinance. I know that one was put on as a first reading for item number 6. I'd ask that you table that because it's my intention just to present this in a workshop, to get input from the commission, to get input from the health department director, and then come back and present it to you for a first reading. But basically, the ordinance should involve the following things. One is it should force these homes to be registered. It should require a criminal background check on employees. It should require inspection, compliance, and reporting standards. The city should be able to investigate violations and enforce violations of the standards. And finally, the standards that are adopted by, they should adopt the standards which were promulgated by the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. So I think that enacting an ordinance like this, it should address a lot of the safety concerns and situations that we've seen. But what I'd like to do is, instead of voting on it at the present time, what I'd like to, when it comes down to item number 6, I'd ask that you table it, and just so I can get some more input from members of the commission. I've already had some input from Commissioner Tetra, and also from our health director.
You know, Mark, what I would like to know is how it's working for El Paso and for Dallas. That's the number 1 issue that I would have. Number 2, what is it costing them? You know, in other words, how efficient is that particular code being able to be enforced? And so therefore, you're probably going to have additional staff. And you're going to have to figure out, is there any public funding, whether it be through HUD or Department of Health or some other way, in order for you to find the funding to get that? Because I would assume that, you know, the people that are doing these boarding houses, and if they're trying to get Social Security checks and they're moving from one place to another, you're having to deal with an issue that's not going to be very easy to address until you get some more experience with it. Okay?
Well, one of the things is and I can certainly do that, Mayor. I will call both El Paso and the city of Dallas and find that out. But I know House Bill 216 provides for the city to set administrative fees in connection with the registration. of these. I know $500 is what the city of Dallas charges. And those monies are used for enforcement of the ordinance. But I can make some specific inquiry with both those cities to find out what their experiences are, and also whether there are any other funds available to fund enforcement of that.
You know, it's really a good thing for the city. I'm not discounting at all what the public health and all the standards that one should not allow these kind of substandard living conditions for these poor elderly. I mean, they're being taken advantage of. But you got to make sure you know what you're doing and how you're going to do it.
No, absolutely. And Dallas has a fairly comprehensive ordinance. The ordinance that I'm proposing is modeled on Dallas, which I thought was a lot better than, with due respect to El Paso, because I think they were the first. I think Dallas's ordinance is a little more comprehensive. But I can contact both cities to find that out, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioners?
I just want to thank you for working on that, because as soon as somebody came forward and alerted me that they were existing within my district, it is very alarming, and if there's anything that we can do to assist or remove them from our city, then, no pun intended, I'm all in.
And thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that to my attention.
I think that concludes the workshop, is that, if I'm correct, and we don't have executive session until 5:45. So, workshop adjourned for right now, and we'll reconvene at 5:45. Is that correct, Charlie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Item B, consultation with attorney pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code regarding pending or threatened litigation.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We can continue to go forward. Just for the purpose of the public, is that we started the first meeting earlier at 4:30, at which time we did the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation, and your notice doesn't call for that again. So just why we're not doing it again, this is the explanation. But if you would go ahead, I think action on items discussed in executive session, there's no action required, would be the first one, right?
4A, yes. For
that-
letter B, action to proceed as advised by legal counsel.
And I don't, is there any,
We're not requesting
there's
any
no,
action.
we're not requesting any action, okay? The next one would be the mayor's activity report. And I think for the purposes, since this is our last regular meeting, we may have other special meetings, but I wanted to go ahead and on behalf of the mayor's office and the city commission, is to wish everybody within the city a very blessed, merry, and safe holiday season, because we won't have a chance to do so in public again. And the other item that we're going to try to do is to accommodate bond counsel. Before we have public hearings, items number 14 and 15, which were brought up by Pete the last time we were tabled, he needs to get on the road back to San Antonio. We want to make sure he has a safe drive back. And so, other than that, that concludes. I think you have a commissioner report.
Remind everyone that Friday at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 9, we'll come down to Market Square, Christmas at Market Square. We're going to be having a movie for free in the newly renovated Market Square building. We'll be playing Polar Express. Enjoy some holiday treats while you're at it, and watch the lighting of Market Square. Following on Saturday from 10 to 5, we'll have our Better Block celebration at Market Square, Christmas in the Square. Lots of bazaar booths and carolers. We're going to have special public art and treats, as well as some lovely crafts from Mexico, compliments of the Mexican consul's wife and their program called Fawn Art through the Mexican government. So you can also bring an unwrapped gift to be donated to the Good Samaritan Fire Department toy giveaway on Friday or Saturday. and experience the mystery of Market Square at Christmas.
Okay, does anyone else have any other items?
I just have a quick comment. We are in the holiday season, and a lot of folks are going to the malls and stores. And unfortunately, this is when thieves like to take advantage of the fact that we have valuables in our cars and gifts. So I'd like to remind everyone to please hide those items. Or don't keep them in your car longer than you have to. For the items at your homes, we do have our police department a while back adopted a system called Leads Online with the help of a previous commission and some of the commissioners here. And it's a very neat system. Whenever your items are stolen, if they're pawned or sold, the police department gets a report. So it's very important that you document all your serial numbers. If you can somehow engrave a distinctive marking on the items, that's great. I personally had some items stolen, and I thought I'd never see them again, and our great police department did a good job, and they retrieved the items. So just keep that in mind. Put your items away and just document everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think Ramiro would be the next presentation.
Item 3, presentations, impact fees, semi-annual progress report.
Mayor, City Commission. Okay. This is a presentation by the Public Utilities Board on the impact fees. Andy McCartney with Black and Beach. The kayak, the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee looked at this about 2 weeks ago, and they recommended your approval, your acknowledgement. So there is an action item after this, further down the agenda, and Andy's just going to quickly cover just a summary on the impact fees and where we're at with that. So
They're just asking for the approval of the report. Is that?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission, City Management, staff, and citizens of Brownsville. Pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Chapter 395, this presentation is a required update of the Brownsville PUB's impact fee program. The agenda, a short introduction. Again, like Ramiro said, I'm Andy McCartney with Black and Beach. I wanted to review the capital improvements plan status for water and wastewater growth or capacity related projects as of June 30th, 2012. Review the service units generated and impact fees assessed for the same time period, and then discuss the future issues and any questions and answers. Project team, Mr. Richard Campbell could not be here tonight. As far as the water capital improvement status report, there's been no change from the December 2011 report. Project 15 was the 24-inch water line loop along the hike and bike trail, and it was completed a while ago using commercial paper funds. The engineering design portion of Project 16, which is the 24-inch water line loop adjacent to Sunrise Mall, that engineering design was completed for $75,000, and the remaining cost to complete is just over $1.1 million. Project 22 is the Villanueva water service transfer from the Military Highway Water Supply Corp to Brownsville PUB, and the water main extension portion of that project was completed for just under $625,000, and the remaining cost to complete is just under $1.3 million. For the land use assumptions plan, the LUAP, those changes are basically made every 5 years, and so in the course of the semi-annual update, no changes have been made to those. The maximum allowable water impact fee per equivalent service unit, or ESU, was calculated back in February 2009, and that for impact fee for water was $1,389. The actual impact fee that was adopted by the City Commission on April 24, 2009 was $1,036, and that actual impact fee collection rate is 74.58%. And again, that maximum allowable water impact fee is calculated per the Texas Local Government Code Chapter 395. For the wastewater capital improvement status report. The main driver is Project 48, or the Robindale wastewater treatment plant expansion to 14.5 million gallons per day. And there's been no changes from the December 2011 report to update you on. As far as the total wastewater capital improvement status report, there's been no change to that. Some of these lift station projects, the LS projects, have already been reported on, and most of those were funded through the ERA funds. Same thing on wastewater with the land use assumptions plan. And that maximum allowable wastewater impact fee per ESU that was determined in accordance with Texas Local Government Code Chapter 395 was $2,097. The actual impact fee that was adopted by the commission on April 24, 2009 was $1,564. Again, that actual impact fee collection rate was 74.58%. For the water service units generated from the inception of the current impact fees, or April 24, 2009, a total of 604 units have been issued, and that's an increase over the December 2011 amount of 92 units. Back on December 2011, at the end, there were 512 units. For wastewater, a total number of service units have been issued of 569. That represents an increase of 86 units from December 31st, 2011. For the impact fees assessed for water, $1,057,947 have been assessed, and that was an increase of $134,680 from December 31st, 2011. For wastewater, just under 1.375 million have been assessed for wastewater impact fees. That was an increase of $175,168 from December 2011. This next slide is what we call, accounting terms, a roll forward. So we're rolling over the beginning balance at the beginning of the year, which was last year's ending balance. And so we're showing the impact fees actually collected. There is a deferred payment program, so that assessed and the collected don't always match. So at the end of June 2012, there's just over $2.3 million that's eligible to be used for impact fee eligible projects or growth or capacity related projects that were identified back in the 2009 impact fee study report. Some of the future issues, we're coming up on the start of the 5-year cycle. So preliminary discussions have been held with the kayak regarding the update of the land use assumptions plan. That would need to be done first, and then the update of the capital improvement or CIP plan, and then the actual impact fee study could be updated. And this was discussed at the kayak meeting on November 29th. And so some of the things that have been brought up was if it's decided to do away with impact fees or set them to zero, what needs to happen? And basically the same process would need to occur, that you'd have to go through the entire study again. And that way you could address the issue, because with impact fees, they helped fund the capital projects of the PUB. If it's not funded through impact fees, it's funded through rates and the recovery of dollars for debt service, or principal and interest on the debt. So, PUB legal counsel, Mr. O'Neill, had addressed this issue and basically said you have to go through the entire process. So whether they're done away with or the actual collection rate is set to zero, the process is the same. That way all the parties can have input into the policy.
Very good. Anybody got any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Number 4, consent items.
Consent agenda items A through D.
Do I hear a motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, with the permission of the court, can we go to items number 14 and 15?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Pete?
Item number 14, Consideration and action to adopt ordinance number 2012-1565, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of approximately 12,275,000 in aggregation principal amount of City of Brownsville, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2012A, securing the payment thereof by authorizing the levy of an annual ad valorem tax and the pledge of certain surplus revenues of the city's municipal landfill system, and approving and authorizing the execution of a paying agent registrar agreement, a purchase contract, an official statement, and all other instruments and procedures related thereto.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this item, actually these two items were tabled December 4th, and the reason why they were tabled is because we had amended the original schedule of funds to be funded by the CO. We added the Brownsville Metro maintenance yard building and also the shelter, an additional shelter. And as a result, that caused us to extend the date to tonight. And that's the reason why we tabled it last week. I have a very small presentation regarding these two issues, the 2012A and the 2012B. The 2012A is tax exempt, and the 2012B is taxable. And the reason why it's taxable is because that's related to the airport hangar that would be used by a private sector. These are the capital projects that will be funded by this particular CO or COs. There's the A-ish series and then the B series that I just covered. We had in the past issued reimbursement resolutions for various projects, and the reimbursement resolution authorized us to borrow from the general fund ahead of time when we did some acquisitions and properties. And as soon as the COs are issued, we will be able to reimburse the general fund from the CO proceeds that will be issued, or actually we will receive on December the 27th of this year. We all know that our ratings are now classified as high quality. Moody's gave us or maintained the AA3. Standard & Poor's they moved us from an A+ to a AA-, so that was an upgrade. And we kept the same rating at Fitch for AA-. So as you can see, all three of the major rating agencies list us at the same grade level. One of the things that if you look at some of the reports that are listed in this particular page, report that was just given to you indicates what it causes to credit upgrade or avoiding a credit downgrade. Well, of course, they look at continued growth in that tax base. The rating agencies look at solid base balance sheet performance, continue maintaining strong on financial position and reserves. This is very important as far as reserves. 10-year management team, maintaining conservative budgeting practices, of course, a social economic profile. What causes a downgrade? Of course, when we see a decrease in our reserve position, and obviously a decrease in our tax base. So this is some of the areas that we would hurt us, and we would obtain a credit downgrade. One of the areas that we look at, obviously, for that this is information that the rating agencies looked at, and one of the reasons why Standard & Poor's actually upgraded us is that we had an improved financial condition in 2012, and this is a schedule that will be covered to you by our interim finance director at a later item. But as you can see, that our fund balance at the end of the year, unassigned fund balance was $14,965,875, which is we have met our goal as far as reserves, because we do have a fund balance policy that requires us to maintain at least a 15% in reserve of expenditures. We ended the year at 16.52. We were for 2 years below the 15%. Last year we had 12.47. We are at a little over 15% at the end of 2012. Again, these are all unofficial numbers because our audit has not been completed yet. One of the areas that they look at, obviously, tax growth. growth, and we had a growth of 3.6% in this particular year that we're in right now, of 3.59. For the last 3 years before that, this year we had growth of less than 1%. That's on the tax rolls. Of course, the other area that we look at is sales tax, and we have had increases in sales tax the last few years. Last year was a 3.65%. Now, if I may, I'd like to go over this particular handout that was given to you. Again, you look on page 1 of 6. This particular 2 COs that will be issued tonight will require a debt service rate increase. Right now we have a 25.35 cents. It will jump to 26.34, which is about a 1 penny increase to service this debt. 2 of 6, this is the ratings, underlying ratings that the city has. 3 of 6, that's something that I've already covered. Page 5 of 6, on this particular, if you look at column E on page 5 of 6, you'll see that the interest rate for the tax-exempt debt is 2.92%, which is very low. We haven't had one below 3% since I've been here. And on the taxable issue, and that's the airport hangar, the tax rate would be 3.76%. Then we have calendar of events that will occur on 6 of 6, and we're showing December 27th as the closing date, and that's when we are expected to receive our bond proceeds. Obviously, we are recommending that you approve this resolution tonight.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 15, consideration and action to adopt ordinance number 2012-1566, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of approximately $1,200,000 in aggregate principal amount of City of Brownsville, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2012B, securing the payment thereof by authorizing the levy of an annual ad valorem tax and the pledge of certain surplus revenues of the city's airport, and approving and authorizing the execution of a paying agent register agreement, a purchase contract, an official statement, and all other instruments and procedures related thereto.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this item that's listed separately because this is the 2000B series, and that's for the airport. We recommend that you approve this resolution.
Motion. Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Pete. Now we'll revert back, City Secretary, to
Item 5,
action number 8. Or no, I'm sorry.
public hearings, number 5.
Action number 5.
Public hearing and action to adopt a substantial amendment for fiscal year 2012-2013 one-year action plan, October 1st, 2012 through September 30th, 2013, which includes unused community development block grant funds.
Mayor, Commissioners, I present to you today our substantial amendment. With your approval, we will submit to HUD tomorrow with hopes that they will approve the substantial amendment and we'll be able to utilize these funds come January. I'll be happy to answer any questions about any of the projects proposed on this list.
Sounds like good work to me.
Very
Do I hear a
exciting.
motion?
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And if I understood correctly, the next item tables is number 6. You want it tabled? Or
We're asking that you table it so we can get it.
I will entertain a motion to table item number 6.
Motion to table?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
On item number 5, did you all close the public hearing? Because you all
We
just
No, we
voted.
didn't.
We didn't. Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And may I read number 6 just so we can table it legally?
We'll table number 6 for in accordance with what the attorney. There's
Motion
no
to
reason.
table?
No.
Motion to table? Oh, you want to read it?
Just to read it.
Okay, you got to
Okay,
read it.
we'll go. Item 7,
Okay.
the public comment period.
Any,
We didn't get any.
nobody signed up?
Then
Okay.
action items number 8, consideration and action to accept the impact fee semi-annual progress report for the period beginning on January 1st, 2012 and ending on June 30th, 2012.
That's in accordance with the presentation that was made, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So we just asked you to accept the report.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Number 9,
Item 9, consideration and action to authorize the city attorney to negotiate an agreement with Cameron County, Texas for construction and operation of an international bridge at Flor de Mayo. Said agreement to be submitted to City Commission for final approval.
For Mayor and members of the commission, for some time, we've been having some informal conversations with county staff about the possible the development of Florida Mile Bridge. The county's significantly been working on this for quite a number of years. They've incurred some costs, and what we were trying to suggest was, is there a way the city of Brownsville could share in both the costs and equally share in the revenues from this bridge? Can I get the next slide? Oh, this one there. Okay, there's 3 bridges in Cameron County. In the city of Brownsville, we have the Gateway Bridge, the B&M Bridge, and the Veterans Bridge at Los Tomates. Of those 3 bridges, the city of Brownsville really only shares in the revenue of one of them. This is unlike the situation we have in Laredo or in McAllen, where the cities share in the proceeds from those bridges. And the thought process is, well, why isn't Brownsville sharing in the revenue from some of these bridges? For certainly, in terms of our costs, the city of Brownsville bears the cost of the increased traffic that comes across to our streets, and obviously more people means more things, police costs and other city administrative costs. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to work out an agreement with the county for the joint construction and revenue sharing in the Florida Mile Bridge. And it would basically have certain characteristics. One, the city and the county would bear equally in the costs of the construction and share equally in the revenues of the bridge. The county has expressed that they want to own the bridge, the rail property, and the right-of-way associated with the bridge. The city wants to ensure that the county's in-house administrative costs aren't passed along as costs of construction of the bridge. And the city, I think there's $2 or $3 million that the county has already expended. The city would need a reasonable amount of time, approximately 3 years, to repay those initial costs. So basically what I'm asking you today is to authorize me to talk to the county in a more formal setting. I can present to the mayor what our proposals will be, and then any agreements before they would be binding on the city would be presented back to the city commission for approval. But basically the agreement that we would want to work out would be along this framework.
They haven't made any proposals, I mean.
Not formally.
Not
We have come as far along in terms of informal agreements as we can. I think the staff is pretty close to being ready to present something. So we want to get to the point now where we have the ability to present formal offers, obviously in communication with the mayor, and subject to the approval of the commission.
Any questions of Mark? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to authorize.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Item 10, consideration and action and adopt a budget amendment resolution number 2012-101 to amend the general fund, convention and tourism fund, community development fund, landfill tipping fee increase fund, airport fund, motor vehicle parking system fund, public transit, Brownsville Golf Center fund, and 2008 CO fund to provide funding for cost of living adjustments to non-collective bargaining employees.
I think that's Commissioner Simoia.
Well, I'll go ahead and say a few words. In light of the positive numbers we've shown in the way our budget has been managed, I think it would be a good idea to consider giving our employees a raise. It's been 2 years since they got a raise, and before that it had been 5 years. I think they're very hardworking and deserving of this small raise.
Do we have any idea what the numbers would look like?
Do we have those numbers, Keith?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, yes, the numbers are at 454,670 by the general fund. And then there's other funding sources, other grants. The total cost is 623,091, 454,670 is the general fund. But there's also other contributions by the general fund to cover the other funds like the
I'm sorry,
convention and tourism.
I can't really hear you, and I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, sorry. If you look at the last 3 columns at the very bottom, it shows the total increase, assuming that the 3% increase is effective January 1st, 2013. It's 9 months of the fiscal year. The total annual increase in the general fund by itself is 454,670. Obviously, there are other employees that are paid from other funding sources, such as the Convention and Tourism Fund. Now, that particular, we did have during the year, we did have a good year as far as hotel motel tax. If we don't get enough monies from the hotel motel tax, that means that the general fund would have to pick up that difference. And we have listed there at $7,499. That's assuming that we don't get enough hotel motel tax. The other airport, obviously we subsidize, the general fund subsidizes the airport, so we also listed as $21,271. Public transit, there is a transfer or a subsidy by the general fund for operations, and we listed that as $29,024. And then there's the Brownsville Golf Center that also gets subsidized by the general fund of $6,567. So the total amount is $519,031, with $104,061 as being self-supporting, meaning from other funding sources. So the total cost, if you include the general fund contributions and the self-supported funds, is $623,091.
And this, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this for everyone except police and fire?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I guess I have another question, which is for the last 2 budget cycles, I've asked before whether or not we could do this, and I was always told no, because we would have to include police and fire. So what makes it different now?
Okay, we went ahead and checked with our attorney, labor attorney, Rick Navarro, and he indicated to us that this would not have an impact on the Me Too clause because both the firefighters and the police officers received a 3% increase October 1st. So there is no Me Too that can be made by both the police and fire collective bargaining unions.
Mr. Pete, did you by any chance get that in writing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to. I don't have any problem with saying that the city employees should get as much money as possible, and I'm not complaining about their work. The whole idea is we're now at a Standard & Poor, we're upgrading here as to how you reported, and I want to make sure we're on solid ground and that we don't have any unincurred expenses that would not, hurt us in that, because that's a substantial amount, the number that you're talking about is over $500,000 to $600,000, if I understand the numbers correctly.
To answer your question, Mayor and City Commissioners, we did get it in writing from Mr. Nick Ravato, and we have that in writing already.
It's due because of the percentages.
No, and I'm fully, like I said, unfortunately, I'm always really kind of leery because they say due diligence is getting things in writing and having them papered.
When we did have issues and we did have to abide by the Me Too, was because they were at 0-0 and an increase was given to one and not the other, and that's why. But right now, when both are receiving 3, it's eligible and it's fair to be able to give the employees.
I also feel we're investing in a lot of assets, particularly recently, and the most important asset, in my opinion, is our employees. So I'm comfortable with giving a raise.
I agree with you completely. My question was only why was I shut down when I asked about it for the last 2 budget cycles in a row.
But what was the question, Dr. Galvin? That you were shut down?
I think the question was with the Me Too clause, and when she asked for that, they said, well, it would also increase the police and the fire 2 cycles ago.
That's because there was no contract that was yet finalized with police and fire. Obviously, yes, if there is no contract with police and fire, and you give monies to the non-collective bargaining employees, they're going to meet to it.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. As I said, I agree with Commissioner Villarreal. I'm just asking for that clarification.
Okay, any other discussion? I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 11, consideration and action on resolution number 2012-102 to authorize the execution of an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville and Texas Department of Transportation for litter removal, roadside mowing, and palm tree trimming along specified sections of U.S. Highway 7783 in Brownsville, Texas, as specified in Attachment A of the agreement.
I think this is a good time for this. I think TxDOT is out there working on the expressway as we speak. We've had commission approval in relation to using the plastic bag ordinance to add additional cuts, if need be, on the expressway, whether it's cutting or palm trees or litter control. TxDOT eventually has approved the contract, but they want us to pass a resolution which is attached, and of course we would add 3 additional cuts. In writing, if we need a cut, we would submit it to them, and the total sum of the cuts would be $34,433.57. So we're requesting this be approved, Mayor, that really would help us.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Number 12.
Item 12, consideration and action to authorize a contribution of $12,500 to the Chancellor Francisco Figueroa Scholarship Endowment in demonstration of the city's commitment, solidarity, and appreciation for the impact a regional medical school will have on healthcare needs of the Rio Grande Valley.
Okay, this one basically, I had referred this to city manager, but basically the cities of McAllen, Edinburgh, Harlingen had contacted the city of Brownsville with regards to a contribution to the Francisco Figueroa Endowment Fund. The way it was passed, or the way the endowment fund got set up, when Dr. Figueroa went to the regions, not this meeting, but the meeting before, they wanted to give him a raise. And he said, I would like to, whatever money you're thinking about, please put it in a foundation, and so we can send it to for a scholarship fund for medical students down in the valley. And so when it came down to their last meeting, the Board of Regents, they authorized a $50,000 fund to be started, and then the mayors got together, not myself because I wasn't around at the time, and decided that we would show the solidarity by each city contributing 12.5, matching the funds of the University of Texas, and so that it'd be for the first students that go to medical school down here when it gets started as it was promised. So that's the background on that. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome.
Item number 13, consideration and action to acknowledge the interim finance director's financial statements and cash investment report for the City of Brownsville for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2012.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Lupe Granado, representing the financials for period ending September 30th. You have two binders. The first one is this one right here. This is the detailed binder report. Instead of going through that report, we prepared a PowerPoint presentation that I would like to go over. First, we're going to present the unaudited financial statements and cash investment report for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2012. Financial statement highlights, during fiscal 12, the unassigned fund balance in the general fund increased $3,093,004 from previous fiscal year. The sales tax increased $877,862 or 3.65 over fiscal year 2011. The bridge revenue decreased $140,000 from previous fiscal year, but there's still a pending transfer for the period ending September 30. We expect to receive about $200,000 from the county. The airport received $896,960 cash subsidy from the general fund during fiscal year 2012. This is a decrease of almost $2 million from fiscal year 2011. A cash subsidy of $500,000 was approved December 2012 to cover fiscal year 2012 shortfall. Hotel motel taxes increased $155,811 or 13% from previous fiscal year. One of the highlights I did not list on here, but on the PUB surplus funds increased $538,784 or 7.33% over fiscal year 2011. Next page, we have the estimated fund balance in the general fund at the end of fiscal 12 was $10,949,628, but the actual amount was $14,965,875 for a positive variance of $4,016,247. Our medical health insurance expenditures increased $1,200,000 over a period, but the fund balance has only decreased $663,769. The September 30, 2012 ending fund balance for this fund is $1,345,378. Our workman's comp expenditures declined $198,000 from previous fiscal year. We continue to experiencing increases in sales tax in the last 2 fiscal years. After a 2-year decline in fiscal year 2009-2010, we will not reach fiscal year 28 sales tax receipts until probably 2013. Budget year 22, even though our economy and our financial condition is slowly rebounding, we will continue to monitor expenditures by making sure that we did not exceed the budget. What we have here is the balance sheet of September 30 for general fund. Last column, we have total assets in general fund of $31,340,925. Liabilities $10,252,957. We have fund balance of $21,087,968, of which $14,965,876 unreserved. Next schedule, we have the statement of revenue expenditure summary as of September 30th with the beginning fund balance on the last column of $16,670,07. We have revenues of $94,585,000, expenditures of $90,592,000. We have fund balance of $2,087,968. Next schedule is sales tax comparison for between fiscal year 2011 and 2012. We had a increase between fiscal years of $877,861 or 3.65% increase. Next is the bar graph that illustrating the amounts of sales tax collected. Fiscal year 28 is the year that was always mentioned that that's the best year that we had. For fiscal year 12, we were shy about $250,000. We didn't budget that amount, but due to our conservative budget, we expect to receive that to go maybe beyond the 2008 amounts. The bridge fund, you show revenues of $1,388,918, but on that amount, we're still pending about $200,000 transfer from from the county that is not recorded on here. On the bridge fund cash payments, you see a bar graph of the cash payments from the county from 2002 to 2012. 2012 will increase, hopefully, with that transfer to the county. We have the general fund budget fund balance summary. We get a beginning fund balance of $13,747,000. We have a budget revenues of $91,854,610, less budget expenditures of $94,652. We have estimated unassigned fund balance of $10,949,628. We have next schedule. We have the comparison between final amended budget and actual amounts. In the last column, you'll see that there's a favorable balance. We budgeted 90, and the revenues $90,038,000. Actual amounts received $92,769,000, which have a favorable balance of $2,731,000. On the expenditures, same thing. We budgeted $91,964,000. We had actual amounts of $87,874,000. Positive variance there of $4,089,000. Net change in fund balance, $3,993,085, leaving a fund balance of September 30th of $21,087,968. This is a comparison between actual fiscal year 2012 and fiscal 2011. We had a decrease in revenues of about $264,000, of which, if you note on the Brownsville Economic Assistance, was $250,000 that we didn't get this year. That's why there was a decrease in revenues. On the expenditures, we also had a decrease in expenditures from prior fiscal year. We had a decrease of $1,749,596. On the fund balance, we show on the first column, we have a fund balance of $21,087,968. And on this schedule, excuse me, this one is the actual revenues and expenditures by percentage. If you see on the property tax, we have 24.71% of the total revenues. Sales tax is also a major one, 26.36%, or $24,932,000. Next one there is license and permits is 17,879. And to better illustrate the pie graph here, you see the major ones on there is the sales tax, property tax, fees and services, and BOB's surplus fund in the amount of 8.33%. Similar pie graph on the general fund expenditures and cash transfers. The majority of the expenditures are under public transit, 59.49%. Next one is general government, 15.10%. Public works is, culture and recreation is next at 10.22%. Public works at 9.39%. This schedule is a fund balances history since 2001 to 2012, and between 2011 and 2012, we changed our fund balance methodology where we need to separate the unassigned, not only the fund balance. Towards the last two columns, or last two rows there, you see the unassigned fund balance in 2011 of $11,872,871, and fiscal year 2012 unassigned balance $14,965,875. As far as in relation to percentage of fund balance to revenues plus transfers in is 15.82%, and as far as expenditures plus transfer out, percentage of fund balance is 16.52%. I think Mr. Gonzalez pointed out that we strive to have 15% on that amount. Next one, we have building permits from fiscal year 2002 and 2012. show a decline. You see the bar graph on the different permit valuations for 2012. On fiscal year 2011 and 2012, you see a decrease of 24.25% percentage compared to last year. There's still a growth, but it's not as, the growth is not as much as previous year. The majority is in new commercial and commercial repairs. There's where the significant, there's not that much of an increase compared to last year. Convention and tourism fund, motel tax, we had an increase of $155,811 from prior year. Total revenues collected $2,145,427. Expenditures $1,960,230. We have excess revenues over expenditures of $185,187, leaving a fund balance at September 30th of $418,765. Community development. This community development is usually amounts, revenues equal expenditures. In this case, there's program income in excess of $1,177,000, which this program income will be used in this year. Non-bonded debt is there's just an increase of $77,000 compared to the fund balance, leaving a fund balance of $11,741. This is next one is the debt service fund. Basically, there's total revenues $35,758,000, expenditures $35,419,000. We have excess revenues of $341,081. Have a fund balance September 30th, $3,354,909. Landfill fee. We have total revenues increased between fiscal year 2011 and 2012 of $152,278. Expenditures, we had an increase of expenditures of $256,835. We have a excess revenues over funds, excess revenues over expenditure of $213,425, leaving a fund balance September 30th, $1,196,536. Airport fund, on this one, they noted, on one of the noted items is the cash transfer between 2011 and 2012. There was a decrease of $1,996,000. We had revenues of $3,230,000. We have expenditures of $3,568,000, leaving a deficit in this account for $338,181. This deficit is going to be offset by the transfer in general fund that's got approved a subsidy of $500,000 this fiscal year. Motor vehicle parking system, total revenues pretty much stayed stable. The revenues $492,334. A decrease in expenditures of $69,000 or $489,464. Net change of $2,890. Net assets $991,848. Public transit fund. This fund is subsidized through the federal, the FTA, TxDOT, and the city. Operating loss on the operation of public transit is $2,841,000. Of that loss, FTA covers 50% of $1,420,000. TxDOT contributes for $117,303, and through a combination of other revenue sources and general fund transfer, they make up the difference and make up the $1,420,519. Brownsville Golf Center, total revenues $865,000. Total expenditures $676,000. On this, we haven't closed out the year, so there's a depreciation expense not recorded on there, so the net change will decrease slightly on this fund.
But not 300,000?
No.
Okay.
It's time to sell the golf course.
Sorry.
Next schedule is, this is our health insurance fund. In the last column, you see that total receipts or contributions $11,533,999. Total expenditures $12,167,768. We had receipts under expenditure of $633,768. Beginning fund balance $1,979,149. where the ending fund balance in this fund is $1,345,338. This fund, we gotta monitor it because, in case there might be required a general fund transfer in case we have the same situation where our expenditures exceed our revenues on this. We've got to monitor this account. Next schedules are ARA funds. Pretty much they're in and out, except for this one. This one has a deficit of $462,058 at the end of September 30th. There was a budget transfer general fund that was approved by City Commission October 16th that will take care of this budget deficit. These are just our grants in and out. The next item, this is the summary of investments. We have invested cash, certificate deposits, and pools. Total investment $56,447,815. We also invest for other component units for BCIC, PID, JIVIC. Net City of Brownsville investments $40,459,589. These two schedules, the next two schedules is interest earned for between fiscal year 2011 and 2012. Bottom line, city funds, we've collected $30,518,000 more than previous fiscal year. And concludes the presentation.
Very good.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Lupe.
Number 16.
Item 16, consideration and action on resolution number 2013-103 to authorize Mr. Charlie Kabler, City Manager, to approve the Local Border Security Program fiscal year 2013 application and accept any LVSP grant funds from the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Ranger Division issued for the period of January 1st, 2013 through August 31st, 2013.
Honorable Mayor, City Commission, this is actually a grant we're currently working, but we're asking to renew it for, it's also known as Border Star, pays for funds like police overtime for bridge interdiction, bridge operations, and bus terminal activity. However, they're required now that we get your approval before we apply for the next year, so we're formally requesting that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chief.
While I have you here, Chief, can you let us know when the police department toy drive is? I know that we have a lot of people that are always very excited about that.
Oh, yes, thank you. Actually, our toy giveaway is this Saturday at the police headquarters. It's the 30th year that we do this, and actually we're giving tickets away this week at the police lobby for anybody who wants to bring children this Saturday between 9 and 3 to receive toys at the police departments from infants all the way to 12 years of age.
And Chief, I believe we're going to have someone at the police department encouraging the kids to get their toy and come down to the square to have arts and crafts and neat treats too.
Right, it's all falling into place this week, and a lot of these activities going on.
Good work, Chief. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
Number 17.
Item 17, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of one mowing tractor for use by the City of Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Mayor, City Commissioners, our purpose for coming before you all is to request permission to buy this tractor. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. We have one of the largest lawns to mows in South Texas, a little over 2,000 acres, and it has to meet FAA standards with regard to mowing, which has to do with aviation safety, et cetera, et cetera. And it's important that we have the equipment necessary in order to maintain those standards. So we're basically asking your permission to buy a tractor.
How about a machete? No, I'm just kidding. I'll entertain a motion.
She made a motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, Larry, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, you too.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
See you next year.